How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lo4f, and today I'm going to go and do, I think they're called tasks. It's called Geological Surveys. I'm going to go with the Step 310. I'm on the Arizona region, I'm on the Grand Canyon map. And yeah, sorry, not the editing really, but what picture to start with and all the rest of it, I wasn't too sure myself. The main important thing with this mission, when you're equipping your vehicles, you need to pick those rangefinders, and you need 3 of them. The reason I'm saying that's the setup I took in the end. I didn't need all this, but I've got the Step 310, the TUZ Action, Goddamn Horse, and that Cutco Canyon. One pain in the arse is when you go to deploy, say it puts for some reason, instead of just going to the main base, it goes to these outposts, but it automatically chooses 2 vehicles in each outpost, and you can only have a maximum of 2. So if you want to swap a vehicle, you've got to mess around and transfer one to the main base, so then you can move one to the south outpost or whatever. Yeah, it's a bit of faffing around. For this mission, I'm setting off, I believe it's from the south outpost, kind of going north, cut across to this island, where I've got to place 2 of the 3 markers, and then the third one is up the top there. So they weren't showing up there. The reason why, as you can see now in the top right, I've got the task or whatever activated, Geological Surveys. Every time you click on the map, it doesn't matter where you are on the map, what vehicle you're in, the map jumps over to just one of the 3 locations you've got to drop this stuff off. But then you might want to say, I could be parked like this truck next to my loaf, and I want to just swap to the loaf. I open the map, and the map lunges to the other side of the map. And to be honest, when you're on the map, this Grand Canyon, it's a nice map, aesthetically and all the rest of it, but you can't really tell which way round you're facing, on the map, really. There's not a lot to define, oh yeah, it'd be nice, for example, if there was a bloody compass at the top, so you could at least just look and be like, oh, I'm facing north. Yeah, so that's a pain in the arse, the map that just keeps lunging all over the place. So before too long, I deactivated the mission. You can still complete the mission, it just, the game doesn't, look there, I went to go and get my loaf, because I've rolled a Step 310 in a matter of minutes. And yeah, the map tried to lunge over to where I've got to drop this first rangefinder thing off. And yeah, I didn't make a video in the end yesterday because that stupid drone, which I think is a piece of crap in this game, is blue screening me every time I use the thing. So it's even worse. All I was trying to do was scout the map. And then there's a mission called, what is it? They've used Geological again for something else. There's a vehicle called the Pug, the big armoured vehicle that's rolled. Geological analysis, maybe. And you have to rescue that, but the way you've got to take it is kind of pretty ridiculous. That's what she said. So I wanted to go and scout the route, or the possible routes to go. I believe they've missed where you're supposed to build a bridge. There's kind of you end up at this big cliff with 2 stones that are almost there's a gap in the middle which would be perfect to build a bridge. But yeah, for whatever reason you can't, so the route you got to take the vehicle is a bit of a joke. But anyway, I went to driving around the map, doing a bit of scouting, using that stupid drone, and then every time I kept flying around with the drone, it kept blue screening the game, so it crashed me back. That's the only time in this game the drone is the only thing. I've now had about 6 or 7 blue screens. Yeah, they're a bit of a pain in the arse though, because then you've got to reload the game up. Then the game, obviously, because of the way it's in fact, conveniently enough, the saving cogs at the right of the screen. Chances are when you crash with the drone, it loads you back, say, 5 or 10 minutes. So now I'm back 5 or 10 minutes at the place I've just tried to scout with the drone. Now I've got to try the drone again. And yeah, I ended up just getting stuck in a loop of the game and just keep crashing me and doing that, really. And yeah, like I say, the drone's bad enough as it is, without it also being the thing that keeps crashing the game. Whoever made that and okayed it is, yeah. The worst thing is they'll probably have some nice fat bonus and they'll be on holiday somewhere on a yacht. Yeah, this bit was a bit of a pain in the ass. I do find in general, so far anyway, maybe it's this map, but that little Colorado obviously seems pretty similar. Yeah, some of these vehicles seem a bit easy to tip. Because a lot of the map is quite a hard surface. When you bounce into it, you bounce and ping over. And considering how many rocks and awkward sort of bumps and everything there is in this game, you end up tipping over every 2 seconds. You'd look at those jack screws The jack screws are near enough kind of like a get out of jail free card as far as like you can flip your vehicle. If something like that was in SnowRunner, you'd be nigh on unstoppable just because you probably wouldn't flip that much anyway, unless you're sometimes driving like me. I'm trying to read the comments and not even looking at the screen and all sorts. Yeah, take a goddamn horse with you and you're pretty safe, but in this game, yeah, you seem to tip like a hell of a lot, so I think those jack screws are kind of pretty much needed. They're not even really like a bonus, they're just mandatory almost. What else is there? Well, yeah, I'm going to do a review of like the game in general. I've just been playing through it because I didn't want to jump the gun and say like the game's great. I didn't want to jump the gun and say the game's terrible. Like, I actually wanted to kind of get stuck into a portion of the game before I actually just call it how it is. And yeah, I mean, overall, again, in a nutshell, it's like there's a great game in there, but there's so much faffing around with poorly designed menus and all the rest of it that it does kill a lot of it, because you're just trying to get stuff done, and it's like you're forever fighting logic, like whoever designed the maps, and not the maps, sorry, the just the inputs, the way it all is sort of designed is like, who the hell, like, you sort of get the impression that no one really, I don't know, they didn't really play the game for hours and go, oh yeah, this is a bit annoying. They just, their job was to make a game, and then they didn't really look at it beyond that. They were like, yep, game made, tick box ticked, but yeah, they didn't play it and go, Jesus Christ, why did we put this stupid thing into the game? Like the drone, for example. Like, basically, my biggest problem with the drone is you can hire those manager people, or whatever they are, loads of different ones, specialists, to improve the drone. So long story short, they've made a mechanic in the game and then purposely made it even shitter than it already was, because then you can unshit it by hiring specialists, and it's like, what a crap idea for a game. Like, you just put a mechanic in that you purposely nerf it and make it really slow and boring, just so you have to hire managers to improve it. And it's like, why didn't you make it decent to begin with, and then say hiring the managers boosts it even more? But yeah, you can just tell like it's way below what it should be for like a fun game. It takes about 5 seconds for it to listen to which way you want to steer, and yeah, it's forever beeping. Half the places are no flight zone for no apparent reason. So yeah, that's a bit of a disaster, that one. But anyway, we're getting there. Slowly, I will say. Yeah, like I say, those rangefinders, the reason I was specifically mentioning that, because at some point, whether I was deployed for different missions or whatever, I was looking through the tasks, and I realised I wanted to do this mission, but obviously it says you need 3 rangefinders. And at the time, when I was already deployed on the map, I didn't have the rangefinders on me. I can't say 100%, but I did go to like my main base and everything, and I couldn't find anywhere I could buy rangefinders on the map. So I'm not saying it's not possible, because I'm sure on some map, it must have been in Little Colorado, I'm sure I was able to buy something, but I could be wrong. But basically, long story short, just to then do this mission, I had to quit to headquarters, which now obviously pulls all 4 vehicles off the map. Say I've hired a manager that charges me for that or whatever. Recover, and then go and equip a vehicle with 3 rangefinders, and then equip all the other 3 vehicles, equip all the managers, deploy back to the map, just because I wanted to do this mission, which I can't see the requirements for this mission before I've deployed, because it'll only show me them when I'm on the map. So yeah, like, there's another thing that's just pretty stupid, is like, why can't I just see the tasks before I deploy to the map so I can plan for them? And if there is a way, I don't know, I've not found it yet. It's certainly not obvious or intuitive, because it brings up like, I don't know, I'm calling them contracts that you have to do for each map. But yeah, the tasks are like a different thing that are sort of just on each map, but they don't really, well, they show up in a, if I go into the main menu now, it will show, like, I can go over to tasks and it will show me a list of them. And yeah, that other mission, that geological analysis or whatever it was, where you've got to rescue that hugged vehicle, like the armoured truck thing. Yeah, a few issues I already noticed with that one. For one, when you attach the winch to the vehicle, you can tow it, but say if you go to reverse, not only it doesn't reverse, but it sits there like it's got its brakes on, so you get stuck somewhere, or you're stuck, like, a little rock in this game can suddenly make you stuck, if the hitboxes on it are weird. You go to reverse, and that truck just sits there like a fucking anchor behind you. If you turn the engine off by clicking L3, it won't reverse still, but it'll say, you know, not leave it in first gear, or it'll take the handbrake off or whatever, so you can push it backwards. But yeah, there's lots of little things where it's like, considering you already had the SnowRunner concept and not layout, well yeah, the way the menu and all that works, like, why the hell they've sort of relaid out how the menu works, and then on top of that, yeah, some things like that are sort of broken. Which again, I was gonna, well, I still will do a proper review, but I'm just mentioning it now because, kind of, yeah, just so people know sooner rather than later. Like, another thing that needs fixing, again, I'm assuming some of this stuff certainly will get fixed, but still, it's like how it even made it to this point. Say if I'm driving along in low gear, and I've put my diffs on, like this truck's a perfect example, because I have to turn the all-wheel drive and the diffs on, and I can only access the diffs in like low ranges or reverse. Say I'm driving forwards with the diffs on, and I want to reverse. I come up to this tree and I want to reverse a bit. When I move the gear stick from low to auto, then to reverse, which I obviously have to go through auto, as soon as you go over to auto, even if you're holding the button down, like the clutch button, I've swapped mine to L1, but I think it's supposed to be R1, or it was if you get the game, until you switch it in the controls menu, it'll turn the diffs off because it's registering that I've already put it in in auto. And like in SnowRunner, I did this quite a lot. Say I'm driving along in high gear and I think I might stall. I hold L1, I move the gears down to auto, but I don't let go of L1, so it's like I've not let the clutch out. So the game doesn't actually register that I'm in auto, but if I get to stalling, before I really run out of momentum and everything, I just let go of L1 and I'm already in the auto gears. But yeah, with this game it doesn't. As soon as you go down to a gear, even if you're holding the clutch in basically, it'll still just drop it in that gear. So if you've got diffs on, yeah, every time I go from low range to reverse, it unequips the diffs and I've got to equip them back on. Then I'm going to go, and you just naturally go, oh for fuck's sake, and you put the diffs back on. Then I hold L1 and say, you know, I've reversed a little bit. I go to put it back in low. It disengages the diffs again, and it's like, yeah, you just keep going around, like messing around doing that sort of stuff. Then you go to accelerate, and it's like, yeah, it just, there's too much faffing around going on. In the end, at this point, this vehicle in particular has got pretty terrible steering. It doesn't steer very deeply at all, and then on top of that, I suppose it understeers quite a lot because its wheels are quite skiddy. So as you can see that, I just fire out winches. There's a few trees on this map, not many, obviously nowhere near like SnowRunner, which in the scheme of things is probably, I don't know, I'd say bonus. Yeah, like obviously you could winch to trees in SnowRunner, but you do have those anchors. I'd like to know though what the deal is with that, like, permanent removable anchor that you can get from Little Colorado, which is almost like a little test map that sells for £5 or £8 if you hire the manager. But so far, I've not found it on any, like, well, I've only really been on this Arizona Grand Canyon map. Yeah, I've not found any on there. You obviously can't buy one in the store as far as I know yet. It only offers you to buy like the jack screws, the anchors, and then a few different supplies and stuff like that, rangefinder and that I'm using for this mission. Yeah, I wouldn't mind more of them. It's not, do you know what, funnily enough, it's not even the using the anchors up that bothers me. As stupid as it is, when I've got my money nicely round to like 10 or 100 or 1,000, whatever, if you use some of them anchors and then you've used a manager as well that improves like the cost of selling stuff back, you end up, if you've got like 2 or 3 or 4 of those anchors, you end up getting like a 2, 4, 6 or 8 number at the end, which, yeah, is annoying. I like keeping my money nice and rounded, so I've actually been in a situation where I've gone to recover the headquarters, and I've got like, yeah, it'll end in, it's going to cash out with like 17,262, and I was like, well, fuck that, go back out of it, and I'll just put an anchor on the floor, and then go back into the menu, just like, to keep that nice and rounded. As random as it is, I'd rather they deduct the last dollar or two, even if it's not in my favour. Yeah, I left that bit in there, by the way, where I was talking over. Getting over that river seems excessive, like with how slow muddy bits make you go, which for the most part, as you can see, this map is like quite a dry, rocky map, but when you get little river crossings like that, it just seems a little bit over the top. I mean, obviously, once we get better upgrades later on. Yeah, this is the third location, though. Like I say, it's not to go like on a full rant about this game. There is obviously good things about it, but there's just certain things that, like, how the hell did they not polish that and get it sorted? I also, like, you get 3,600. The missions pay absolute crap. Like, I can go on to that little Colorado and cash out one of those anchors in 30 seconds for 8 odd grand. 3,000, it should be like 36,000 at least. And then just quickly here, there was a little thing, I built a bridge. Just bear in mind, you see those yellow squares I drove in that then said pay 75 spare parts and it'll build the bridge? The squares are gone now, but if I recover and then redeploy, it'll offer me that square again and it'll take another 75 of my points for nothing, even though the bridge is already built. So just bear that in mind, because a few times I've wasted a bit of money just seeing, you know, like, well, why is it still offering me the yellow square? And it, yeah, just scams you. Yeah. 16,000 or something. I got money from the mission, but items sold I got more than what the mission paid anyway. But yeah, that's that one done. And yeah, that's about it for today. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Get yourself a loaf because he saved me bacon already, and I'll be back soon.